All right, let's rock and roll. This is campaign builder. I don't want to say workshop because we're not going to be like working, but we're going to cover a lot. It's going to be half foundations, half the ninja tricks that you would learn along the way anyway, but let's just get that out of the way and learn it right now. It's going to be super awesome, but the campaign builder is pretty much let's just say the most important part of your app, whether you have Pro, Max, or Max Classic. This is the foundation of the automation that you run, but a tool is just a tool, right? You have to learn how to use it. You have to learn how to leverage it. So I'm really, really excited that you guys are here today because this is really going to help kick up your game so you guys can be better you instead of worrying about like the technical, because I know what that's like. That's stressful. So thank you for coming. Super quick. I don't have a long bio. I'm Jade. I'm a certified partner. I love this community. I'm a little perky if you've noticed. Sorry about that. Sorry, not sorry. I love Keap. Most of all, I love entrepreneurs. Like before I was one, I was like, what's wrong with me? I'm like creative and I never fit in. So being around you guys is like the best part of my life. This is so fun. I'm a twin mom. Picture's kind of old. My oldest is 6 and the twins are 3.5. Yes, you may feel sorry for me. They're beautiful. And my handsome partner right there, he's also an entrepreneur. I can't get enough of you guys. All right. Oh, more people. Come on in. Okay, so this is how today's gonna roll. I'm gonna spend half being very, very basic. We'll talk about how to use this, why to use it, where to start, terminology, how things work in general. And then what we're gonna do after that is we're gonna really crank it up. We're gonna talk about the really crucial things. There's a lot of like aha moments that you'll learn as you go and you're like, gosh, I wish I knew that right away. We're gonna do that today. It's gonna be super fun. Okay, so conceptually, what's the point of automation? Why is this such a big deal? Why does Keap do what they do to serve entrepreneurs? So the point is that it basically doubles you, right? Anything, you can send follow-up emails if someone buys in the middle of the night. Anything that you do repetitively can and should be automated, but that does not mean impersonal, by the way. A common misconception is that people think, like we always say, like sales and marketing automation, sales and marketing automation. It's also internal stuff. So don't forget to leverage it to save you time, not just for like outbound messages on a timer, right? So think about how you can save yourself time. Okay, think about it. It creates a consistent experience because when you have predictability in your business, that's when you can really, really start to scale and grow and like find joy and happiness in what you do instead of like grasping at straws. So over time, as you create campaigns and automation, you can leverage data, find pain points and bottlenecks where you can fix it. But most importantly for your customers and prospects, balls don't get dropped. They always get that confirmation. They always get the fulfillment. They always get the product that they were excited to get without you having to work hard to do it. It allows for backup plans. This is a true story. I had a client recently. I set up some like Zoom integrations and I was using Plus This for that. And by the way, Plus This, my slides, everything I talk about is in my resources. If you go to that link on the bottom, you can have it all. Fun, free, have a good time. So anyway, so we did a Zoom integration, and even though Plus This has a backup in it, it's like tag them if the registration didn't work. We had this crazy blow up disaster where he accidentally accepted an invitation to be in someone else's Zoom account. So like poof, his Zoom account just like ceased to exist. And I built in a backup email. So like if the registration didn't work, I got an email that's like, hey Jade, it's Jade here. Something's not working. Have a little fun with your automation, okay? It's fun, even when something breaks. So I was able to identify a problem and fix it immediately because I was notified when things weren't working too. It's the cheapest employee you ever have. I think it's super silly when people are like, oh, I don't want to buy that. And I'm like, really? You want to buy a person to do it instead? So if any of you guys have other friends or entrepreneurs that are like on the cusp, like, am I ready for this? Be like, how can you not be, right? Automation does not mean impersonal. I'm going to show you some really fancy tricks in a little bit about how to personalize even your templated stuff. Automation that goes out without you thinking, you can even add a personal touch to that. So I'm really excited about that. What's up? So it does not mean impersonal. I'm not going to elaborate on like copywriting. You should look up people like Sam Bennett. Who's your like copywriting heroes? Anybody? Mine's Sam. Great. Did you point to yourself? Because I love that. Yeah, girl. Baller. I love that. You're doing great. Cool. So my point is that don't defer to like, but wait, there's more, like super cheesy sales language. Just be you. People buy from people. So just because it's automated doesn't mean it's not you. And lastly, we would all be lying if we were like, Keap's perfect and it will solve all of your problems and automation works every time and you don't even need to learn how to use it. Okay, Keap is a tool and you have to learn how to use a tool in order to get results. So you guys are taking an awesome step just by being here and trying and learning and getting immersed in it. So let's rock. So where do I start? So like I said, we're going to start at the beginning. The best resource available is Mr. Greg Jenkins. You probably heard me singing his song earlier. He's the founder and owner of Monkey Pod Marketing, which is, he has a stupid amount of free stuff. His blog is free. His YouTube channel is free. It's, Greg, I know you're watching right now. There's a lot of nodding going on in here. Yeah, so if you're not familiar yet, it's monkeypodmarketing.com. Again, I'll send some resources if you sign up to receive those. But he got so good at teaching people how to use Keap that Keap said, hi, can we just give this to everybody for free? So Keap, Greg is now part of the Keap, also a part of the Keap Academy team. So his entire very long and detailed campaign builder trilogy course, everything I'm talking about today is in that course and everything else. So I'm just going to talk about my favorite tricks and the basics, and everything else is in this course. And there's a link to it in the follow-up. There's so many, I'm not talking about you guys because you're not scared, you're here. But a lot of people don't do things because they're scared to try. Your automation is no different. Just build it. It's an iterative process. You're going to build on it. You're going to try it. You're going to test it. And then a few years later, you're going to look back and be like, I can't believe I did it that way. But you know what? You did it. Okay. Don't ever not try. Greg, help me out. Progress over progression. Progress over perfection. Step one is better than step none. So on and so forth. Okay. Just do it. Nike. Consider the experience before getting overwhelmed in the technical. Okay, Campaign Builder is kind of a beast. It's a fun beast. But so as a certified partner, when I sit down with my clients and we kind of strategize about the campaigns we would like to build together, I don't say like, well, let's put the sequence right here in the goal and then we'll call off the API call. Like, no, I say, what experience do you want? What would enhance your business, your life? And then I build based off of that. So put yourself in your customer's shoes, put yourself in your business owner's shoes, and then build the automation based on what would be the best, and go from there. Okay, I recently had a new client, and he had Max Classic because he was like, I just want the big guns, right? Because it's cool. It's, you know, it's the most complicated one. And I walked into his app, and every single one of his campaign builder automations looked like the one on the left, which is not a problem. You know, it's automation. He killed it, right? However, they were all like a contact us form and then like a notification, and he had like 10 different contact us forms. That was his entire automation base. So we had a conversation about his needs. I ended up switching him to Keap Pro, and now he has different features and all of his easy automation set up. What we're going to spend the most time on today, obviously, actually all of our time. I'm not going to talk about easy. I just wanted to clarify that if your automations look like that on the left, save that for your easy automations if you're in Pro or Max. Okay. Advanced automations is when there's multiple entries, multiple exits, multiple lanes. You never know what's going to happen. If this, then that, go over here. But what about that? Does anybody else like to do the robot as much as me? Yeah, good stuff. Come on, you at home too. Okay, so yeah, I already talked about that. Cool. So at the very, 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 very basic foundational level, the circles, my friends, are called goals. And a goal is a milestone that's been achieved. So if someone hits the very first goal, like they submit your landing page, that is a milestone that they've achieved. They will trigger that circle and they will move on to the subsequent sequence. Subsequent sequence, that was fun. So then they're going to stay in that sequence until they've achieved another goal and they'll get pulled out. So that's the difference between the circles and the rectangles. Are we all cool with that? That's the need to know. Okay. Inside of a sequence, did you know, raise your hand if you didn't know that you can have more than one start. Sure, come on. Yeah, you can have more than one start. And as you get better at this and you have multiple things firing off at the same time in one sequence, sometimes a lot of us, especially who have a lot of experience under our belt, we like to even segment our lanes a little bit. So I have a lane just for outbound communication, like I have on the top here, and then an internal processes lane where things like just the tags and the notes and the things that just hit right away. But then we'll let the communication delay out on the top. So that's a little fun trick. If you're not doing that, give it a try. You might, I don't know if any of you guys are like type A, it might feel really good. Okay, so in terms of like how you fill your sequences and your messaging, again, this isn't a copywriting class or anything, but I do want to hit on my favorite cardinal rules of marketing that no matter what your style, what you're selling, your industry, your content, and what you put in these sequences for your clients and prospects should have these things. Number one, tell them what to do. It's so easy as a business owner to assume that everyone's just gonna slide right through your automation. They're just gonna know you exist and buy and get everything. And you have to literally be like, do this, click here, buy now. Just don't forget calls to action. Don't make them work hard. If your first opt-in is a 14-step web form, you're going to lose people. I personally, I can't even read half a sentence before I get to scroll. Or I was at a conference last week and someone said, I have AD. What? I had to steal his joke. That was funny. Don't make them work hard. If you need more information, collect it along the way, but like get them in. A lot of times the web form, guys, first name and email only. Get started, okay? Don't put hurdles in the way. Don't expect them to remember. So for example, if any of you guys use like Keap calendar or Calendly or Schedule Once or Appointment Now or whatever, it gives them a calendar, right? An event to put in their calendar, and their own calendars should ding at them. But I promise you they won't notice. Like most people aren't going to pay attention to their own reminders. So just don't forget to build in. This is a great use case for the new text feature in Keap. Send them a text. We're starting in 15 minutes. So you don't want to send them a 15 minutes email that's probably buried 40 deep by the time they see it. Build in more touch points than you think. We had in the PartnerCon event that was right before this started, we had a keynote speaker and he said, 80% of your sales happen between the 5th and 12th attempt. So if your sequence, so it's like, lead magnet, sequence, hope they buy, right? Pretty straightforward. If you don't have 5 to 12 messages in here, you're doing a disservice to yourself. Okay, that's a lot. Think about it. Okay, tags. This is one of those things where for me, like, oh, I wish I knew that sooner because we just made it up as we went. When my the company I used to work at where I learned how to use Keap, we just made it up as we went, made up categories where it seemed like, oh, let's make a new one today. No consistency in our naming convention, deeply regretted it later and took a lot of work to clean up. This is an example of my mentor, Ellen. This is her tagging convention. You don't have to be this crazy, like organized. She's not crazy. You don't have to be that crazy organized, but it should be consistent, if nothing else. 6th Division, they are a sponsor. Go say hi to them. They have an awesome resource. Again, it's in my follow-up. Their ultimate guide to tagging. Even there, and personally, because I'm very much like, la, 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 the world is happy. So I don't even go as intense as either of these guys do personally, but I do like how 6th Division only has 5 categories. 5. That's it. And you're like, what? 5. Or of course, Greg, I have a blog post for that. Jenkins has, guess what? A blog post on naming or just choosing one. Okay. So the point is that you don't have to do one or the other. The point is have one. Hey, a rule's a rule. Let's face it, without rules, there's chaos. So just a couple things to keep in mind for when you're naming your tags, using tags in campaigns. Keep it simple and stupid. Okay, that's why there's only 5 categories in 6th division. They get complicated after that, but like, don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. This is one of my favorite tips that you guys are going to learn today. Love this one. Use blanket tags. So you probably have detailed tags. Let's say you have a membership site, right? And you have 14 levels of memberships and free things that they can see or like whatever, right? You have a lot of things. But please, please, you'll thank yourself later. Have a blanket tag for member and non-member, or has bought something. Here's why. 2 main reasons. Someday, someone's gonna like claim a thing, fill out a form, and you're gonna send a learn more about buy this email, but you don't want the people who already have it or have bought something or like first time offer, right? You don't want to have to put in your decision diamond 8,000 criteria if they have this tag or 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 bought A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Just put has bought something. It's going to completely change your life. Or not even in a decision diamond. Example number 2 is using liquid content. I have a resource for that in my follow-up. It's not a squirrel, it's a fly. It's a mosquito. Okay, anyway, so another use case is liquid content. So you can send one email out, and if you want to do first time offer, you can just put the word first time offer if they don't have the has bought something tag in one email. Super helpful. Please, please, please use that. At the very least, do status and history tags. This is a 6th division thing. And this is what I mean. If someone enters your sequence called sequence A, apply 2 tags. One called the history tag was in sequence A, and the other one called status tag was in sequence A. Then when they progress onto sequence B, you never remove the history tag. It's a breadcrumb. But you remove the sequence A status tag and you replace it with a sequence B status tag. This is why this is helpful. Recently had a client where I was building campaigns. I was using status and history tags all along the way, very long sales process. And then they purchased Graphly. Graphly is so cool. And she was like, I want to see a Graphly box for how many people are in sequence A, how many people are in sequence B, and how many people are in sequence B at any given time in real time. So all I had to do was a search for status tag A, status tag B, status tag C. It was so easy to pull reports in real time of where people are sitting. That's also important because you may know that if someone is in a sequence, but they've stalled out, they've done everything, and they're just chilling, they're active or queued. So your reporting has a lot of levels to it, but a status tag is just clean and simple. Where are they right now? They're right there. The history tag came into play. She said, I want to see a funnel of how far people make it down from sequence A to sequence D. Super easy because I left the history tags on the whole time. So I was able to build her a Graphly funnel that said at the top, this is how many people pass through sequence A. This is how many people pass through sequence B. This is how many people pass through sequence D. Does that make sense? Okay, breadcrumbs, where they are currently, best thing ever. Build in tag cleanup. You guys probably, if you've ever triggered a campaign with a tag, you might have called it like a start tag or a trigger tag. Don't forget to take those babies off. Even if it's not a problem later on for automation, it's still, have you ever looked at a contact record and you're like, oops, they have a million tags and I don't know why. I consider there's like palm readers. You're like, oh my gosh, I know everything about you. I feel that way about contact records because I'm kind of a nerd and I love automation, but like I feel like I can know someone and the experiences that they've had, and when you don't do tag cleanup, that dilutes that experience, and you can't really study someone or do pull reporting very well. But furthermore, more importantly, and I made this mistake, and my friend Tyler, he's actually watching right now, I made this mistake in one of his campaigns where there was a start tag for people to repeatedly go through a boot camp. And there was some weird thing happened and I forgot to remove the start tag on some of the people. And so then when it was time for them to go back in, the start tag didn't work because when it's applied, that's what will trigger stuff. You can't apply it twice. If you try to apply start tag and it's already there, it goes, okay, don't do anything. Okay, super important, especially for repetitive processes. Clean up your tags. Okay, so now we're talking about the kind of fancy tips and tricks going from Binja to Ninja. I made that word up. I don't know, I make stuff up. So first of all, did you know that the notes widget is not just text, it reads HTML. So you can color code notes to yourself. You can, this is an example of one of my clients and friends, Misty Cordes. She owns Your Marketing Coach. When she puts campaigns in her clients' apps, she puts that in, and that picture, that purple picture, is HTML. And if you click it, it goes to her support site because she built that campaign for the client and she wants to support them if they look at it and they're confused and need help. So not only is it a picture that's HTML'd in, it's hyperlinked too. Another notes tip, you can put a change log in. So if you have multiple people on your team messing with your automations, date it. Be like, November 4th, I changed this. November 5th, I went back to that. It kind of just leaves a note for your team to see what happened at all times. Okay. Guys, a couple email things. I know that the Yahoo thing right now is like a big deal, and it's not just Keap, it's like every email service provider. It's a big deal, and problems like this happen because there's bad actors. It's not you guys, I know, we're all perfect. Okay, we're all perfect, but we can help maintain email hygiene and good reputation by making sure that we're actually authenticating our domains. I'm always surprised by people who just aren't told that off the get-go. You have to tell your domain that Keap has permission to even send for them. And then also confirming email addresses, super important. Let's all do our part. Keep the planet clean. Captain Planet. When you're testing, and there's an asterisk because this is viewable on Max Classic and it's not viewable on Pro or Max. If you would like to learn about how you can hack things to see it like in Max Classic, ask me later, it's possible. And I believe that they're working on putting features like this into Max in the near future. But if you are testing an automation and there's a delay in there, right? Like delay send email 1, delay send email 2, you can look at the upcoming campaign items and force it through so you can test without waiting a year. Okay, fun fact. Clients ask me this all the time. Can I pause someone's automation? No. In campaigns, you can manually, without triggers and all the automation that's built to work how it's supposed to build, but you can manually put someone in it, and you can manually just pretend it didn't happen, remove them. You cannot pause. Okay. You can copy an entire sequence. This is something I learned like 3 years later. I'm like, oh, I wish I knew that 3 years ago. So that's why I'm here today to teach you all of those things. The trick though is that the menu item for that is inside the sequence. It's not like on the main canvas on the outside, like find a sequence and put it here. You have to open up a brand new sequence, go inside of it. And there is an actions menu where you can copy from a completely separate campaign. So if you'd like slayed and did a really good one in a totally different campaign, you can copy. Okay, now we're getting to the really fun stuff. How are we doing so far? We went through like I don't want to say beginner, but like halfway through like the difficulty range. Nod. Show me your breathing. Great. How are we doing in the online chat? How are you guys doing? Miss you.
So something that was going on in the online chat is they're talking about using notes versus tags, and that I guess I'll have to scroll to find it, but basically someone was saying that if you add tags and remove tags, then you lose that history of what tags they might have had at certain points. So some people like to use notes for that. And then I think let's see, Deborah said, in part because how hard it is to organize tag taxonomy, I've used notes instead of tags. Note put inside a campaign saying start a new customer sequence on this date using merge fields for the date. So she was just curious about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I can touch on all of that super fast. So first of all, on the note widget that I talked about with like the pretty pictures, and you can hyperlink it in HTML, that has nothing to do with automation. It's like a Post-it note on a map. It has nothing to do with the map. It's just, oh, look, helpful Post-it. Secondly, someone was talking about like, well, I don't want to remove the tag. I want to know what happened. You don't have to remove tags. You should if it's just superfluous and doesn't serve like a historical purpose, like a start tag. Like they started my lead magnet campaign. Cool. Well, you can, after it starts, remove the start tag, but then apply a history tag that they went through it ever. And then also a status tag. So that kind of solves that problem all in one. And then the last one, you were talking about like wanting notes as they go. I don't know, I think a lot of people aren't leveraging the notes like they should be, especially for if you're a team of more than one or have a really bad memory. Like I like to be able to pick up the phone, talk to a client, read my notes and be like, oh, how's your dog, Darcy? Great customer service, take notes. So you can leverage, there's a note widget inside the sequences, make even notes that were like, at this time, someone bought something. Greg Jenkins, you actually have that in your campaigns. It's so cute. Like literally place a note. That's all it says. Place a note that at this date and time, someone opted into my lead magnet. At this date and time, and it's a historical note, but then it doesn't clog up your campaigns and your tags and your notes and everything. Yeah, great questions. Thanks, team. Love you across the world. You're doing great. Okay. Don't call me Shirley. Okay, so now we're gonna pick it up a little bit. So something to think about that's a time saver is if you have a lead magnet, which y'all probably do, and you have events where you promote various lead magnets, you can have different landing pages and web forms, but send them to the same lead magnet. That's fine, that saves you time. So like maybe I have a website lead magnet on my site for people that are there, but then I went to speak at IKON and I wanted people to get my lead magnet. So it's all pointing to the same stuff. So that will save you time later, different entries for the same stuff. But the centralize and trigger, this is another really great tip I hope you guys take away and implement is, let's say you have a lead magnet campaign, and if then you make your first offer, and if they, after multiple attempts, they don't buy, you want to keep them warm and nurture them, right? Don't put nurture at the end of that campaign. Have add nurture and trigger it for various use cases for when people don't buy this offer, that offer, new product, old sale, whatever, but just at the end, trigger nurture if they don't buy so that you can keep them warm. Because if you end up putting nurture or like repetitive things in multiple campaigns and you want to make a change, it's a huge pain in the butt. Another awesome use case for this is on a membership site. Yeah, how many of you guys do memberships? Awesome. Okay, so you know how if you have something like Membera, it provides an HTTP post to create a WordPress username and password, right? I see a lot of people, I don't want to call this a mistake. I think this way is more efficient. I see a lot of people, if they buy membership A, fire off the HTTP post. And then in a separate campaign, I sold membership B, fire off HTTP post and a welcome email. But if you have that welcome email in like 4 different places and you have more memberships and you want to change your welcome email, well, guess what? You have to change it in every single place. So no matter where your campaigns and your offers and things are all over the place, if someone's ready to get a username and password, fire it off in one campaign, get their welcome email no matter what they bought. Saves you so much time. Ladder versus linear. If you have, so there's a lot of like ghosty things about campaigns, right? Like editing live campaigns, or if you delete something but don't republish, it's still kind of there. Or people are moving left to right, but what if they hit a goal backwards? There's a lot of weird stuff. So if you have a campaign, like maybe that's like an opportunities pipeline where people do have a more likely potential of moving backwards, instead of like making things kind of weird, like where'd you go? Do it like that on the left, separate it that way. So notice how the booked call is the end goal of the top ladder rung, but it's also the start goal of the second ladder rung. So that means they can end whatever's happening and start something else. But if they're in the middle and they go backwards, it's okay because it ends and it starts up here and then things don't get convoluted. Just a little hygiene tip. Okay, looping campaigns. So the nature of like consecutive linear automation, like when the campaign builder was built, it's meant for left to right journeys, right? So it inherently didn't have built-in repetitive, like just loop. So here's a couple use cases where people love to use loops. Number one, at the top row, I have like a newsletter. You want to make sure it keeps going out, right? Or better yet, the second row is an example of someone bought something. Every quarter, send them, how's it going? Like, don't forget your customer service, but you can automate the customer service. So literally every 3 months, like clockwork, I'm thinking about you. How's it going? You still getting value? I believe in you. Automate that. But Keap, again, it's meant to just go. So looping campaigns are crucial. However, there's been a huge new feature that's a game changer in how loops function. So if you're not looping like this, your mind's gonna be blown. So the bottom example with the X on it, that's the old way. Someone would buy something, they would sit there for 3 months, get their quarterly check-in email, and then I would apply a tag that would pull them out and simultaneously start them again. Okay, that's the old way. And the reason that we're so excited about not having to do that way is notice how on the top, there's no superfluous tags. You don't have to use tags to loop anymore because there's a new feature. So inside, that's the middle sequence on my slide. It looks like this. You simply do a put them over here widget. Seems kind of simple and straightforward, but you can use this to significantly improve your loops and decrease your tag clutter. Okay, so basically, in the first sequence, so the set purchase date, wait 3 months and send a check-in email, they would just sit there, that one's simple, timer for 3 months, email. Then they go into the next sequence that's empty except for, hey, put them back. Yay, very simple. Love it. Okay. I'm always shocked by how many people don't know this feature. This is the top 2 things I'm going to show you today. Campaign merge fields. How many of you guys run campaigns that you either copy a lot or reuse a lot? Do you guys do you have a perfect webinar campaign? You're like, I nailed this. The sign up, the invitations, the confirmation, the timers, it's rad. I don't want to start from scratch. So you copy that every time you have a webinar. And I use this trick a lot when I worked at a company that had the same webinar every month with a new guest. Okay, so it looks like this. In your main canvas on the top right, there's an actions button, and there's a merge fields option and a links option. That means you can set a text field and a URL field that can be used in the entire campaign without typing it more than once. So for example, when you're setting the fields, so if I'm reusing a webinar campaign over and over and over and over again, what's always going to be in there? The title, and then the join us at November 3rd at 10 a.m. Woo, be there, right? But how many of you guys have ever made a typo before? Okay, not enough of you raised your hands. We've all make mistakes, or maybe you set up a perfect campaign and then your team member just like completely botched it, typed the wrong date and time, and you're like, The first email said 10 a.m. and the second one said 3 p.m. Are you kidding? That's so stressful. So what you can do is you can write it once and then just merge in that option in the entire campaign repetitively. Likewise with the URL, the registration link. I can set my button in 6 invitation emails to 1 campaign merge field instead of the potential of putting in the wrong link and making a mistake. It looks like this. When you're in an email, in the merge options, we're all kind of familiar. You can merge in like, hey, Jade, hey, Brian. You can put someone's first name, right? In the bottom, it's kind of hidden. See where it says campaign fields on the bottom? I put in the text field for title of webinar and description. So now I have 17 emails that say the title and the description, and I only had to write it once. Reduces error big time. And then when in my buttons, like register now, save your seat, save your seat, save your seat. When you're setting the button, you know how when you're setting a button, there's like a download file button, a URL button. You probably haven't used the campaign links button yet. That is in that drop down right there. It looks like that. I'm super excited for you guys to try this one. Let me know how it goes, okay? This is my favorite. This is my absolute favorite. This is, in my opinion, the most underused and most advanced feature in the campaign builder for so many reasons. Internal forms. How many of you guys have never used an internal form before? You're gonna have your mind blown. Okay, so an internal form, the example I'm gonna use in this is if you have an enrollment call. So in my previous life, I built marketing material for financial advisors. Tend to not be the techiest people. And we provided like a concierge service. We'd schedule an enrollment call and I would sit there, great customer service, and be like, tell me all about you. Okay, so you sell life insurance. How do you want your name to look like on your website? What, oh my gosh, your wife's name is Marcy? That's awesome. So all of those details, all I was doing the entire time was filling out an internal form. And the reason that it's internal, not public facing, is because it's instructions for me too. So see how it says step 1, fill out these details. So that first one, all it does is append person notes in Max Classic. So I can take permanent notes that are always top of mind, like your wife's name is Marcy and you love pugs. And that way, every time I talk, guess who's my favorite customer now? That guy. So that always gets noted. Then I'm filling out standard contact fields because I'm going to build him some marketing material. How do you spell your name? How do you like things to look? No problem. But then see how I wrote on the bottom, what specialties do they practice? Or do you do life insurance? Do you P&C? That's for a blanket tag that I'm going to use someday. Because what if someday we had a product just for life insurance agents? And I didn't have to email everyone. I only emailed the blanket tag people for life insurance. Big deal. So now all I do is check that while I'm chit-chatting, and the campaign, the subsequent campaign, or even I can apply a tag just by that checkbox in the internal form. Yes, ma'am. Actually, do you want a microphone?
Oh, probably not. I've got a teacher voice.
It's for the online people.
The online people.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right. So I may have been using tags wrong. I've been tagging people a lot of times based on their occupation so that I can find them and create lists and things like that. So, realtors, financial advisors, blah, blah, blah. But I could do that in here and not mess up my tagging and still use that possibly for email campaigns.
Yeah. So what her point is, and this is why internal forms are so cool, is because, anybody you can sit at your desk, open your Keap app and apply a tag if you know that they do realty, right? But I've seen lots of companies where I don't want anyone touching my tags. Don't screw up my tags. Don't mess up anything. Don't go near anything that could break, which is the campaign. So you could have like a VA who doesn't know how to use Keap at all. All they're doing is following instructions, and that will apply the tag for them, and they won't screw or anything up or break it or know where the tags are or what category is it. Yeah, great point.
And can I add to that? That also means that whoever's filling that out, that form, like an employee or something, doesn't have to be a Keap user, right? So they're not.
You would use a public forum for that, but you could use a public forum for internal purposes and do the same thing.
Okay.
Public or a web form. Yeah. I mean, they serve the same purpose, but internal is just more veiled because it's seen from the inside of the app only. Yeah, good, great point. So notice how I keep going on my enrollment call, and we built a SaaS. So I would create their account when I was on the phone with them and be like, okay, did you see that confirmation email? And if they didn't, I would check off the result of the steps I was doing so I could set up automation. I don't want to remind people to do things they already did, but I want to make sure I do remind them if I didn't get something completed on that call. But again, I'm not doing anything complicated. I'm just filling out a form, yes or no. Likewise so then after this enrollment call, I would build their stuff, and then I would have a consultation with them to be like, look at your stuff. Okay, well, sometimes people were, sorry, I'm in the car, I forgot about this enrollment call. Okay, I can't check my email right now. So I would check off no that they didn't do that, and no, they didn't schedule a consultation yet. So then I could, guess what, fire off automation without having to do any extra work. You guys see the point here. Then we would collect payment, so on and so forth, set up reminders. Also, remember how I was talking about how not enough people take notes? You can force people to your team, the inexperienced people, to take notes by making it a required field. Here's how it works. You create a custom field called call notes. It's a big text area box. It's just a random empty custom field in a contact record. Then in the internal form, you make that one of the fields to fill out. You make it required. Now they have to take notes. You make that field required, and then in the campaign that follows, you would use a make a note widget, and you merge in the what's in that box. What's in the box? You'd merge in the what's in the box contact merge field, and then afterwards wipe out the field, empty it to be reused. Anytime someone makes a call, use a form, they fill it out. Oh, we're talking about you, Brad. We're talking about how cool internal forms are. I learned that from you, buddy. Cool. So this is why they're so important. It keeps team members off of things that they could break. It's basically an SOP. Brad, did you hear me? We're talking about this. I learned this from you. Internal forms, highly underused. People can't break things. It includes instructions. Notice how I was like, step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. It's required. And it fills in fields and takes care of everything and can trigger automation for all those reminders if things didn't get done on that call. Does that make sense? Can you guys nod for me? Rad. I love that. Cool. So as you know, if like someone buys something, there's a box for like, send me a notification, send me an email when someone buys. Cool, but it's 2021 and not everyone works that way. So you can use Zapier and webhooks to fire off a Slack notification. Hey, someone just bought something, it's time to get to work. Or for me, and I have a link in my resources, I did a whole automation hours on this. I specialize in building really complex fulfillment procedures on Trello, because you might have like a developer in China and then a designer in India, and they're not users in your Keap app. They can't fill out your internal forms. They just have a piece, they build the website and then they do the graphics, and it's a process. So you can fire off a card to be created, new customer, and it's already assigned to your design team in India, and it's already assigned to the building team in China, and they can start checking off things and move the cards over. Again, I have an entire presentation on this link in my resources, but the point is that when something happens in your automation, you can fire off notifications however makes you happy. Does Slack make you happy? I like Trello personally. That makes me really happy. And so I like to build Trello cards automatically. What makes you happy? So unfortunately, Keap doesn't yet have an email preferences center. So it's kind of a bummer when you're sending out emails and the only option is completely unsubscribe me and never market to me ever, 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 ever again. It's kind of a bummer, right? So there are 2 options to build in your own version of saving yourself from total unsubscribe if someone just doesn't want your motivational Monday, okay? Option number 1 is what you see on the screen. This is the simple version where you can drag in a text block and say, want to stop receiving just this kind of email? No problem, click here and stop getting it. And I hyperlink that to just a thank you page or follow me on whatever. It doesn't really matter where it points to. But notice how I apply a tag when they click on that link. And that will, guess what? Pull them out of the campaign. but they're still in other ones. They're still eligible to be marketed to. Yeah, we got a question in the back. The bottom or the top? The bottom or the top? Oh, great. Sure. So the text box on the bottom says, want to stop receiving these newsletters? No problem. Click here. So it's just a simple text block in my email at the bottom, and I put it on top of the unsubscribe. So if someone just doesn't want my Monday motivation, who cares? But I still want to be able to market to them. So I give them an opt-out that they'll see before they get to the total get away from me. And then it's hyperlinked to, it just says thanks. It doesn't really matter where it's hyperlinked to, but there is an option where you can tag them on that click when you're hyperlinking them. It tags a tag that would pull them out of that newsletter sequence or whatever they want to stop getting. It would be an exit goal. Great question. Thank you for bringing that up. I didn't finish explaining that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I guess this problem I'm having is tag out that URL. The way that the software in there, I have to go to
Well, the point being is that the tag that kicks them out of whatever they just don't want to get anymore is that it's the click that does it. It literally doesn't matter where it's hyperlinked. It could be hyperlinked to google.com for all it matters. I prefer to like just go to my website and make a thanks page that I just generalize. If I ever want people to do this tactic, I'll just go to thanks for the updates. And that way I can, you guys, I love to save time because I'm lazy. That's why I love automation. So the point is it doesn't matter where it goes at all. If it's in an email, you can allow them to stop receiving that kind of email, but it keeps them eligible for other materials. The advanced version of this is you could hyperlink it to a web form or a lead page or a website or anything. Probably in this use case, I'm going to say a web form where they can say, I want to stop receiving this email, but I want this, and allow them to check their own boxes and tag accordingly. So you would have to build a web form to do that. This is the easiest way to just let them stop getting what they don't want. But if you want to build an email preferences center, you can actually just do that in a web form and send them there and allow them to like tag to pull them out of whatever they want. If you have more specific questions or like about a specific use case, come talk to me after because I want to make sure I'm covering like general for everybody. Okay, new features you should know about. I know that you guys are busy running your businesses and you have this cool tool called Keap and you're not like looking at keap.com every day going, what'd you do today, guys? So I'm here to help you out. So first of all, text marketing just came out and you don't have to do anything fancy or like apply. It's a widget that's now actually just in the campaign builder inside of a sequence. I'm going to send an email. You drag the email block over, right? You can drag a text message block. And the first time that you double click it to open and configure it, it will just provision you a phone number. You have to accept terms and conditions. It's going to make sure it's following compliance, but they just give you a phone number right away. Super important distinction, friends. The text marketing phone number is a one-way marketing phone number. It is totally different than your business line that comes with Pro and Max. How many Pro users do we got in here? Few? Yeah, different thing altogether. And there's a very good reason for that. Your one-on-one business line, it's for one-on-one communication. You can talk to people. You can make phone calls. You can text. It's just like your phone. The marketing phone number is compliant, it's fast. It charges like 4 cents a text, but not for the compliance opt-in. The first time you use it, it will ask people, hey, Jade Olivia Brands is trying to reach out to you, say yes. And that's built in. You don't have to worry about compliance, it's done for you. 2 different phone numbers. The number that they provision you is like an 855 or 833 or something like that. And it will warn them right off the bat, you're about to receive a message, let's be compliant. You don't pay for those though. The math feature. Okay, you guys are probably like, who likes math? Not me. Same, but this feature is super, super helpful. I used to have to use plus this to implement this all the time because I love it. And now it's native in Keap. Yay. So it lives in the set field value widget. So now like, if someone buys coaching with Jade, you can fill in a field called their coach's name and fill in my name automatically. You can set fields in the campaign. But now you can do math. And here's why using math is important. Let's say every 5 times someone buys something from you, they get a free coaching session, right? Or when they buy something, they get 5 calls with you and that's it, right? You have to count how many times things happen. So what you can do is you can click on that math option, and when they pass through, you can +1 or -1 to a number field. So you can keep track internally of how many times things are happening, okay? And then let's say someone gets 5 calls with me and that's it. So I'm going to use a scheduled appointment with me widget, which you can use in Pro and Max, or a tag from like a Calendly book or whatever. Someone books a call with me, I would put a sequence after that that would subtract. I would set the field as 5 if they just bought. And then every time they book a call, I would subtract 1. Then after that, I would have a decision diamond that goes, if that number is more than 0, send them an email 3 months later, they're allowed to have another call with me. If that number is 0, I'm going to send them down a different path because they've used up their calls with me, and I'm going to encourage them to buy more. So that's a use case for using math. There's many use cases. Does anybody use this a lot and want to talk about a use case? Yes, you can use that referrals. Absolutely. Yes, yeah. And like trigger you, so anytime it happens, decision diamond out and say, if this number is larger than 4, then notify you. If this number is less than 5, keep referring to me, baby. Or one more use case for this is keeping track of how long things take. So as a manager, let's say I manage a sales team and someone opts into my lead magnet and I know that my team is working that sale, I'm going to loop in a +1 every day until that deal has converted. And then I can pull reports of how many days things took. And I can say, well, Jennifer takes 20 days to close this sale, but Sally takes 5. Really important data. Add to sequence, we talked about this already. You can loop, but also just a couple other use cases where this is helpful. Let's say you have a lead magnet. That's a great, everyone uses this. So you have a lead magnet, you're making your offers. If someone buys, then you don't have to apply a tag to trigger fulfillment in another campaign. You can literally just say, put them in the other campaign. Less tags to send them somewhere else. And it doesn't have to be in the same campaign. In my looping example, I was plopping them back into the same campaign so that they could keep going through. You don't have to, you can send them anywhere in the same app in a different campaign. Also, I use this all the time to end stuff. So you no longer need a stop tag. And some people get really cray-cray about their stops, like start, stop halfway, stop, stop, hard stop, final stop. You don't have to do that anymore. You can just say leave now. And actually, if you check that bottom, so you probably can't read that in the back, but that little blue box says remove contacts from current sequence when they reach this action. You can just click remove and you don't need a stop tag, and they'll no longer be queued. They'll no longer ruin your reports just by chilling. You can just say done. Have a great day with a widget, not a tag. Tag cleanup. Task outcomes. So task completed is a goal because you want to know when something's done so you can move on to the next. And in La La Land, everything's black and white and either it's done or it's not. So we don't live in La La Land, we live in the real world. And so now Keap finally made an option where you can set up a tag and say, well, we got this done, but not this. They want it to be called later for a sale, not today, or something like that, where there's multiple outcomes. You can trigger different automation because someone did the task, but what happened? So now you can configure various automation off of a task. Liquid content. A lot of people say that this is the biggest thing to come out since the campaign builder itself. I am not the preeminent resource on this, but Jason Osterly is here. He runs a Facebook group called Liquid Mastery where you can ask questions. He wrote an ebook. He has a membership. It's complicated code that changes the world. Instead of sending, how many of you guys have ever done this? You have an opt-in or a web form or whatever, a start goal. And then you have a decision diamond to the 14 different welcome emails they could get based on what they bought or who they are or whatever, right? We've all done that. You don't have to do that ever again. Literally, web form, one sequence, and you can use liquid content to show or hide the different language that you are tweaking based on those criteria. I mean, I like decision diamonds, they're great, but I love not having to use them when at all possible. So that's super, super awesome. Liquid content is amazing. Please just learn about the possibilities and then go down that rabbit hole as necessary. I have links to this Facebook group in my follow-up. Okay, lastly, so I help, I'm the community manager for Greg Jenkins' MonkeyPod OG membership. And 9 times out of 10, when someone says, how do I know this? I'm like, there's a report for that. A lot of people just forget that there's a ton of reports available to you. This is just a snapshot of like a quarter of the list. There's so much there. This is in Pro, Max, and Max Classic. There's so much data. Just please look at it and see what's available. You'd be very, very shocked. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a question in chat asking, so for all those new features that you were just sharing, she's asking, where are those located?
Yeah. Let's go back. Text marketing, it's a widget inside of a sequence. Math feature is in the set field value widget in a sequence. Add to sequence is the add to sequence widget in a sequence. And liquid content is code that you configure in a dynamic content menu, and then you paste that code into your emails. Cool, great question. There's a lot of data available to you. Check it out. I'm not super nerdy and data driven. I'm more like hearts and flowers, let's hug, but this is available. You'd be surprised. Okay, so the 2 people that taught me everything I know, and besides reading all of Brad's stuff, Greg Jenkins is the preeminent resource on learning how to use mostly Max Classic because he's been around for a while, but you know, we're expanding. And then I worked a lot with Brian Keith to level up. He was my Infusionsoft back in the day coach when I needed it, and I had so much fun that I went ahead and got certified. This QR code is the same link that was on the bottom of my slides the whole time. So if you didn't grab that yet, you can scan it. And I just want to say something, and I have to read it. Oh, there it is. Okay, well, guys, watch me fall. Oh, Lordy. Okay, I have to read this because I'm going to cry. I'm sorry. So the takeaway on this slide, like, sure, yeah, if you want to hire me, I won't say no. But it has links to all of my social. I just want to be friends with you. The takeaway from this is that you're not alone. So you don't have to be perfect at the campaign builder. You don't have to be perfect at strategy. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be the best you, however you serve people, because you're not alone. We can help you. So for me, it's relationships and giving support, because you guys give to me more than I could ever give to you. 2 years ago, I was super unhappy, underpaid, and overworked. And you wouldn't recognize that person, and you probably wouldn't like her. But entrepreneurs like you gave me the strength to quit my job and follow my dreams. And it's entrepreneurs who keep me going and make me better every day. So thanks for being here, and thanks for being you.